Most men fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Today we're going to talk about how you can create an amazing relationship as well as an amazing social circle, or rather find an amazing relationship and create an amazing social circle. The most important thing you have to understand is that you are not merely the manager of circumstances in your life, you are the creator of your life, as Tony Robbins says. Most men have an average dating and relationship life at best, if not an absolutely and utterly terrible one. Why is that? Well, it's obviously not because they're lacking in intelligence. It's obviously not because of the person they are. If you're an ambitious man, if you're a successful man, if you have mastered at least one area in your life, you've already established the meta habit of learning, of creating a certain skill set. So it's not necessarily that you are a terrible person. It's probably not the case. It's merely that you haven't mastered the skill set and that you haven't even aimed. You haven't even set a goal for your dating and your relationship life. And that's not even your fault. It's not even your fault that you haven't set a goal for this area of your life, because in most areas in life, society agrees that the amount of input is going to equal a certain amount of output. If I put in a certain amount of work and I do the right things, I'm going to achieve an outcome. But when it comes to dating and relationships, just wait and the right one will find you. Just be yourself. Just be a good listener. All this nonsense. That's not nonsense. It's absolutely necessary, but not sufficient. You have to realize that this area is just like any other area in your life, one that has to be conquered, one that has to be mastered, and you have to start setting goals. Imagine you're at a shooting range and you're supposed to hit a target that's 30 meters away. How are you supposed to do that if you're blindfolded? It's almost impossible if you don't even see the target. So you even have to start setting goals. You have to assume the responsibility for achieving certain outcomes in your life. And I know you've done that successfully in so many areas of your life as well. So I'd like to invite you to transfer the same habit of setting goals, taking action, changing your strategy, adapting and achieving those goals into this area of your life as well. Now, if you go about doing that, what's kind of like the next step? Okay, you've set a goal, well, what then? Well, then or rather realizing that you can set a goal. What's the next step? Well, you gotta define the goal, right? Once you understand, okay, I can set a goal, you gotta define the goal. So you need to know what you're aiming at. Now, what kind of a woman would you like to have in your life? You have to write that down in detail. But before you can go to that step, you have to understand what kind of a man you are. Who are you really? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? What do you never want to be said about you at your funeral? Understand your values. What are you for? What are you against? And once you become clear of who you are as a man, in detail, not just at a superficial level, oh, well, this is my job, that's my name, this is where I live. No, the values, the desired mental and emotional states you like to achieve and you want others to achieve. What is it that you stand for? Somebody once said that if you have nothing to die for, you have nothing to live for. Now, it might not have to be that extreme. For a lot of people, it doesn't have to be that extreme. But in order for you to feel alive, it almost has to be that extreme. If push came to shove, if something went down, what are you willing to stand for? Who are you? Because if you're on a date and you don't even know what you stand for, you don't even know, you're not even grounded in your own sense of identity, then she's going to treat you like any other beta simp male. She's going to disrespect you. She's going to sense a degree of unease. She's going to feel that you'll try to please her, that you're easily shaken. She wants a man. If she wanted a woman, that's what she'd be going for. She'd be on Grindr, not on Tinder, not on Bumble, not on Match.com, not on Muzzmatch. She's on a date with you. These women, they want men. Now, there's many, many different ideas of what a man is, but there's certain universal criteria, which we've spoken about last time. But become grounded in who you are. Really do some soul digging. And you can go to a lake in the south of Germany like we are right now. Third or fourth biggest lake, I believe it is. Go to the mountains. Meditate, expose yourself, try a variety of different things. Expose yourself to the world and then reflect. Expose yourself to the world and then reflect. And then refine that. But become clear of what you want and you can simply start writing. Some people like sending voice messages to themselves. You can literally now create a WhatsApp folder with yourself on your own phone. You can have a WhatsApp folder, or a WhatsApp group, pardon me, not a WhatsApp folder, a WhatsApp group with yourself where you can send yourself voice messages. Now that's not just an amazing productivity hack, but it's also a fantastic reflection and journaling tool. You can write it down, you can make videos to yourself, you can wake up in the morning, record a quick 30-second video about your dreams, about the insights you've gathered. The more you do that, the more you're going to become grounded in your own sense of identity as a man. The second step is, what do I want? What are my goals? Where am I going? Read the book. If you speak German or Spanish, I'm not sure if it exists in English. Jorge Bucay wrote a beautiful book called The Three Questions. Die drei Fragen, as we would say in German. And in that book, he talks exactly about these three steps. Who am I? Where am I going? And with whom? Once you become aware of what your mission is, where am I going? And that's oftentimes career focused. If you have a certain job, what are the career goals you want to achieve? What are the goals you have for your fitness and your health? What are the goals you have for your dating and your relationship life? What are you going for as a man? And remember, the woman can never be the prime purpose of your life. And I know that's quite counterintuitive. And a lot of men say, oh, now I've gotten this. A lot of men, once they actually go through this process and they find somebody, or actually most men find them by accident, they stumble upon an amazing girl or somebody who has, they have, let's say, a 50% compatibility, which definitely isn't enough. Then they start acting a little bit needy and they place her on this pedestal and they make her the sole focus of their life. And let me tell you something, even though she might reward you for it initially, she's going to despise you for it in the end. She doesn't want you to only put all your eggs in one basket to the extent that all of your mental energy, all of your efforts are simply focused on her. In the beginning, when you meet her, you might be going to the gym 5 days a week. Then, instead of going to the gym 5 days a week, you go 4 days a week and 3 days a week. Instead of meeting the boys, hanging out with business partners, clients, networking events, only, let's say, or you're hanging out with them 2 or 3 days a week, now you're only hanging out with them once a week. And whatever you want to do is absolutely fine, but you have to understand that you got to choose it. If you consciously choose to spend more time with her, that's absolutely beautiful. And you should go through phases where you spend a lot of time with that beautiful person at your side. But don't do it just because it happens. Don't do it just because there's a lot of very subtle dynamics and because you get psychologically attached and because you're afraid you're gonna lose her if you don't. And that's gonna happen if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what your goals are. Trust me, your mission always comes first. Now, I don't want to be ideological about this. There are some men who believe their mission who believe it's their mission to be a stay-at-home father. I know some people who are extraordinarily intelligent, who have accomplished shit ton, and they say, someday when I find someone, I want to be a stay-at-home father. While personally I can't understand that at all, that's what life is. And it's about self-awareness, as Gary Vee would say. You have to know what you want. There are certain things about your blueprint of how you want life to be that are unique to you. And it's not just about being this alpha male kind of guy. No, it's still about you being you. Right? You living your goals. There's a degree of individuality that you got to put in there. It's about your life. And if that's what fulfills you, if you think you're going to be this amazing dad and you want a woman who's going to be a VP at a company, there's still certain things you have to understand about frames and dynamics and attraction building principles to sustain attraction, because a lot of traps that you can fall into, which we're going to speak about in other videos. Maybe if I go up to that mountain, we might be speaking about some of those. But understand that if that's what you want, that's perfectly fine. Who am I? Where am I going? And then lastly, with whom? Who is the person that I want to have with me? And then a lot of men, when I ask them, they can give me between 4 and 11 bullet points. She's supposed to be educated, physically attractive. Doesn't have to be a model, but there should be some degree of physical attraction. Shouldn't be too independent, not too needy, you know? And they give me a variety of those things. They want to be able to introduce her into their social circle, not too much drama, somebody that they can really share life's beautiful and precious moments with. That's not enough. If that's all you have, you're doomed for failure. Remember, as Tony says, life will pay whatever price you ask of it. And that's really the case. If you aim so low, that's what you're going to get. Then you're going to end up in a relationship where you have 50% compatibility, which basically means 50% of the time you have to compromise, which basically means most of the time you're going to live in a state of emotional disdain for the other person, sadness, fear, you know? In other words, let me make it practical for you, instead of using these high meta-level terms. What's gonna happen is you're gonna, instead of the Saturday and Sunday going on a weekend trip with your girl, and you're gonna go into the forest, you're gonna rent a cabin somewhere in the woods, you're gonna have amazing intimacy, spend time, or you're gonna go to the boys and she's gonna come with you on that trip. You're gonna go and spend time with her grandmother. And you're gonna spend the weekend with her parents playing, I don't know, cards. And there's nothing wrong about that. But if it pisses you off, like me, because that's what I did in my marriage, because I was completely psychologically attached, I had no agenda over what I wanted to do, because I didn't understand the dynamics at all. It's a silly little example, but you're gonna start doing things you don't want to do. All of you have done things in a relationship you don't want to be doing. And most people talk about compromises. You gotta make compromises. The people who talk most about compromises are in relationships with women that shouldn't even be a friends with benefits relationships. You shouldn't be compromising more than 5% of the time. Now, obviously, you will have to compromise some of the time because she's a human being. You're different. And as similar as you can be in terms of your values, or rather compatible regarding your personalities, there's still gonna be room for compromise, but no more than 5% of the time. That doesn't mean that she should be supplicating to you all the time. It simply means there's such a naturally high degree of overlap, of compatibility, that you're naturally happy most of the time and there's no drama. It's mostly easygoing, which may lead to an interesting phenomenon that a lot of guys talk about. They find an amazing girl and they say, whoa, this is almost a little bit boring. I'm really happy, I really enjoy spending time with her, but I don't know, I feel like something is missing. Yeah, you've been addicted to drama. Now, this may actually mean that there is something missing. And sometimes there's incompatibilities regarding the communication, regarding intimacy. So that doesn't just mean everything's fine. It's just that you've had a lot of toxic relationships in the past and now you have something where there's a lack of toxicity, and now you should just accept that when you're not happy. That's not what I mean. But oftentimes, a lack of drama can sometimes feel a little boring initially. Now, that, again, if you feel boring for too many days in a row, something is wrong. You shouldn't accept that either, right? But that's what's going to happen. So you have to aim high. If you don't aim high, you're not going to get the goal. And I know it seems quite counterintuitive now that you don't have that many options. Maybe you've had 3, 4, maybe 5 dates, maybe 0 dates over the last 6 months. So you might ask yourself, David, how the hell am I supposed to aim high if I don't have a lot of options? Doesn't that seem quite counterintuitive? Am I not going to eliminate a bunch of different options? I'm not telling you to aim for perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. But become clear as to what you want because you prime your selective focus. You prime your selective focus to start noticing these desirable traits in women around you. Right? Going back to the shooting range. If you prime your brain, if you train your brain to notice something because you focus on it, you spend mental capacity, mental efforts on that thing, it gains status. Like your mind, look, your mind only ever perceives things in terms of an opportunity or a threat. That's purely because, and by the way, and threats are always more important than an opportunity. Why is that? Well, because a threat can be much worse than an opportunity can be good. The ultimate threat to your existence, threat to your existence would be death. An opportunity, well, how good can it really be? It can be an ecstatic emotional state and a great circumstance, that's great. But you see, the threat can be much worse than the opportunity can be good. So your mind will always start noticing the wrong things first. But these are basically the two categories. So in order for your mind to start noticing opportunities, that's a concept that I teach in my coaching program in depth, the idea of an opportunity. In order for your brain to notice that, you have to prime your focus. You have to bring it into conscious awareness and ruminate. Think about it. Now, I don't want you to think about it to the extent that you stop taking action, because that's the next step. Once you've done all this, start taking action. Just thinking is not going to get you anywhere. A lot of men get stuck in thinking. As Tony says, get stuck in your head and you're dead. Stay in your head and you're dead. Paralysis through analysis. You have to start taking action. Action always wins. Massive action is the cure-all. It's really important for you to understand that doing these exercises are crucial, because otherwise you can do 1,000 or 1,000,000 approaches and you're going to be banging your head against the wall, and all you're going to be left with is not the treasure at the other side of the wall, but a big fat concussion. That's not what you want. So start taking action. Now, what does that concretely mean? Well, first, improve your looks, okay? And improving your looks, look at this face. There's only so much I can do with it. I can't really change the face unless I want to undergo surgery, which is not, I don't recommend that, right? I can take care of my haircut, which I haven't gotten cut in 4 weeks, which I should do. I'm not a great role model, but I already have an amazing girlfriend, which you don't, so. But do that. Get your hair cut, trim your beard, take care of your clothing, shoes, get style advice. That's something that I teach in my coaching programs. It doesn't have to be with me. You can do that research all on your own, but do it. Change your appearance. A lot of men, a lot of the guys that I work with, successful business owners, men who are very advanced in their careers, or very young, ambitious men who haven't even achieved that much, but who are on a good track, they dress professional, but not necessarily attractive. And there's a difference, okay? So you gotta figure that out. And you can simply do a Google search, or you can get somebody to give you style advice. That's perfectly fine. Then, start taking online dating serious. Download Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Match.com. If you're a Muslim, Muzmatch, whatever the case may be. Start taking online dating serious. Once you've updated your wardrobe, once you've changed your appearance, once you've maximized your appearance, because there's only so much you can do, then you get amazing pictures taken. Then you learn how to use the algorithm on dating apps. You learn how to text in detail. You learn how to navigate the conversation on the date, even though that's the next step. I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit, okay? So online dating, again, pictures, profile description, texting, behavior on the platform to get the most amount of reach. And texting is then the tool that converts these matches that are going to come in to real life dates. Because how many times have you had it that a conversation simply dies? So you have to master texting. So once more conversations come in, then you get a date. So that's the next step. But we don't just have to rely on online dating. We can just learn to meet women in real life. I released a video on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, podcast a week or so ago, I believe it was, where I talk about how to overcome your fear of approaching women. And that's amazing. You should definitely watch that. That's 28 minutes. That is going to help you a lot. But the idea is you got to get out there and start meeting women in real life. As a man, you will never experience life to the fullest if you haven't developed the ability to create amazing relationships out of nowhere. By the way, we're going to be teaching a boot camp in Dublin in the middle of June, 17th to the 19th of June, where it's going to be in-person. So in addition to the online coaching programs, there's a real-life event that you can attend. Send me a message on Instagram. I'm going to put up a website, a very well-designed website that I created myself, by the way. I'm a little bit proud of that. So I'm going to share that with you if you send me a message on Instagram. I'm going to put up posts for that. But that's going to be an amazing opportunity for you to learn these skills in real life. You don't need to book my coaching. You don't need to book anybody's coaching. That's really important for you to understand. You don't need coaches, but you do need external feedback. That's something you absolutely and utterly need. There's a small percentage of people who don't need external feedback to thrive in life. I don't know, less than 1%, I believe, in my subjective opinion. Most of us, we need external feedback because we're caught in our thinking. And what coaching does, or what external feedback does, it interrupts your thought patterns. It replaces the wrong thoughts with the right thoughts. Thoughts lead to actions, thought and emotions, because the emotions are the invisible force of life, as Tony says. They lead to action, they lead to result. So you need to change the thoughts. You need to get the right thoughts in order. And there's many, many, many different examples of that. For example, the idea that you can walk up to women in Starbucks. You don't ever have to go to bars and nightclubs if you don't want to meet an amazing girlfriend and life partner, but you can. Some men believe only trash goes to bars and nightclubs. And that's absolutely not true. You have been to nightclubs or bars, haven't you? Would you consider yourself trash? Would you consider yourself trash? No. I don't really like the word trash, but more people you don't necessarily want to associate with. Not the right people for you, okay? So that's a mindset problem. They think, oh, not the right kind of women go to bars and nightclubs, even though all kind of women go. Now, the right kind of woman, the right for me and for you probably, doesn't go to bars and nightclubs every weekend and get super drunk, but all women go out every now and then, so it's a fantastic place. You can go to shopping malls, you can meet them anywhere. These are examples of how you have to expand your mind, okay? So, recap. Online dating, real life. Then you want to start meeting women on a date. You text, you invite them for a date. Very important. Suggest a concrete time and place. Women don't want to assume the burden of proactivity. Assume the burden of proactivity and suggest a concrete time and place. Send her the text. Say, let's meet on Thursday at bar XY, question mark. That's the text you send to schedule the date. Very simple. Then you invite her for a date. Then you build attraction. Then you do storytelling. You assume success. You talk to her as if she was already a girlfriend. That's where the magic happens. That's where you apply all the social dynamics that you've hopefully studied. If you want to do that, apply for a first free call, do free research. But look, the reason I'm hammering this idea is obviously I have a fucking coaching program, but it's not about that. I really give a fuck that you master this independent of who you learn from. independent of who you learn from. You have to master this, because if you don't go through a process of creating options for yourself, you will end up in a relationship with a woman and you'll panic that she's going to leave you. I was married to a woman mainly because I was afraid of losing her. I married her because I was afraid that she was going to leave me if I wasn't going to marry her. Now, she wasn't right for me. There was a huge lack of compatibility, but she was still meeting my need for love and connection in a significant way. She was meeting my need for love and connection in such a significant way that I became psychologically dependent, because I didn't have other sources, other people, or a lot of other people at that point in time who were meeting that need for love and connection. And that's why in a minute we're going to talk about the social circle. Understand it, master it, one way or another. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you need them. I never want to tell you that you need me. That's absolutely utter nonsense. It's helpful, it can save you it can save you years. But what any good coach does is he creates independence at some point in time. I never want to tie my clients to me for the rest of their lives. That makes no sense. Now, obviously, I have plenty of clients who do want to stay with me for years, some of them, because they realize, okay, we got this dating and relationship thing sorted, then I transition to the personal development, then we talk about business, then we go into other areas. But it's not about a dependence. You have to live independently as a man. That's a core pillar. You never need anybody. No coach, no woman, no book, nothing. Nothing! Nothing! Only yourself. Now, that does not mean that you don't need people. You still need people in your life, but never one particular individual. So, you start taking on a dating series, you start meeting women in real life, you meet them for a date, and then you move things forward. Now, let's say you're dating a few women at the same time, right? Honestly, not forever, not to be a fucking playboy. Guess what do you think she's doing? Do you think you're the only one she's hanging out with? And let me tell you something, if she's an amazing girl, in my point of view, she's probably not dating that many people at the same time, but she has options. There's no such thing as a single woman. All women are desired. You're always gonna take her from someone, even though I don't like this idea of taking, because I've never taken Fernanda from anybody, I've just made an offer. But by me extending that offer, she accepting the offer, I've kind of taken her off the market, so to speak, and other men who would have wanted to have her in their lives, didn't get her. So obviously, I won. And that's what I want you to do. Fair competition. Go out there, compete. Sharpen your skill set. When I have a judo fight, when I'm sparring in karate or boxing or whatever the case may be, if I get beaten up, it's because I deserve it. It's because the other guy's better or because I had a shitty day. Because I wasn't focused and my skills weren't up to par either that day, or he was just a better fighter in general. May the best man win. And you're already a successful man. You're already doing so well. Simply transfer the meta habit of conquering certain challenges, of conquering goals, achieving things to the area of dating and relationships, and you really can create an amazing relationship for yourself. Now, let me quickly touch on this idea of a social circle, because it's super important to not only have an amazing woman in your life, but also high quality male friends. Always, it's not gonna stop. You're not supposed to stop hanging out with your male friends, with your business partners, your clients, that group of high quality men around you once you have her. A lot of men do that. They isolate themselves, and then a psychological dependence is created. Very, very subtle dynamics are at play in that moment. And I don't want that to happen to you. So again, ask yourself, what kind of men do I want in my life? What are they supposed to be like? What characteristics do they have? For me, it's warm. They have to be warm people. They have to be intelligent. They have to be genuinely excited about my success. They have to be there for me when I'm having a shitty day. You know, those are certain characteristics. I have a much bigger list, but these are a few of the values that I seek for in other high quality men, and you need that. I don't quite know what happens at a neurological level because I'm not a neuroscientist, even though I've learned from many psychologists, neuroscientists, psychotherapists in Germany and all around the world. But something happens when you surround yourself with other quote-unquote alpha males, or like sigma males, or whatever the new term is, right? High quality, amazing, warm, intelligent, loving, driven men. They ground you. They really, really do. And you need that. So, who do I want? And then introduce yourself. These men, they're not going to come to you most likely. Attend networking events, not like these low-bob networking events, ideally somewhere you have to pay quite a substantial amount of money to get into. Go to expensive gyms. Pay 200 euros a month to go to a gym. Trust me, it's going to pay off. You're going to be able to meet people there. What happens when you're in the sauna talking to somebody? You should be going to the sauna, by the way. Very important. Listen to Joe Rogan talking about the sauna. You should go 4 times a week, and your risk of suffering a heart attack is decreased by 48%. You should go do that, okay? Read Tony Robbins' book, Life Force. Go to the sauna, and when you're in the sauna and you're talking to people, well, connections are formed. So go to pre-selected environments, but make the first step. I can tell you, I'm very fortunate to have a network of amazing men all around the world, very successful, some are very young, very ambitious, you know, like some are really seniored and seasoned, founders of tech companies, like people, business owners, can't even speak anymore, it's been too much. I've got that network, and I can tell you, most men would like to have more high-quality male friends. Not all, but I would say 90% of them would love to have more high-quality male friends. But they don't expose themselves that easily. You have to make the first step. You have to be calibrated. And coming back to the very beginning of the video, you have to assume responsibility for creating these outcomes in your life. If you assume that responsibility, the world is your oyster. So, I sincerely wish you all the best. Take good care of yourself. Tomorrow we're probably going to go up that mountain. We're going to shoot some more videos, so there's more epic stuff for you guys to come. I wish you all the best. Take care.